is the dark and very, very, very dark history of, and there are people All right, so we look around us and we know that there's something wrong, because your neighbour next door is a nice person, your family are nice, people you work with are nice. People want to have a nice society where we can live in peace and just live and be free of wars. So you think, well, where's it coming from? Where is this constant tribulation that we have to go through? Now think 500 years back. If you think we haven't got it so bad, well, these days, 500 years ago, the Catholic Church, this is a depiction of some of the chambers of torture in the Inquisition. Now, you guys could easily be classed heretics and you could have been led to the Inquisition. So you just think back to those days, the Inquisition and the Crusades and all the Dark Ages, and how much our brothers suffered, mankind suffered. And we see now that we know things are really gone pear-shaped. What's the origin of it? Well, I'm going to expose it. Expose it with a little bit of history. The Catholic Church, the Roman cult, has been very, very, very busy in the last couple of thousand years, starting with the Julian dynasty, then the Flavian dynasty, then the Antons, the Antonys. We had the empire. Rome was a republic, became an empire. Just like that, overnight. They killed Julius Caesar, bang, Augustus. It's an empire. This empire is our enemy, as you will see, because it has morphed as it's gone through the ages with the backing of the Roman cult and a very, very dark priesthood, who, through their sorcery and evil and their papal bulls, they seal those papal bulls, they put a spell on them, they put them in their vaults, and what is written on those papal bulls goes. Why? Well, because they're sorcerers. And because when you make a claim of right, which in law means, hey, these are mine, I'm claiming them. Well, I've got the highest claim of right because they're in my hands. I brought them here. The evidence is there. So they're mine. What the Catholic Church did in 1302, very, 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 very powerful date in history. Pope Boniface VIII, very similar to my name, by the way. My name's Bonacci, and that is, bon means good. Now get this, right? Face means to do in Latin. Do-gooder. This guy was a contemporary of Dante Alighieri. Dante Alighieri, who wrote Paradise, someone help me, the Divine Comedy. He condemned this guy to the bottommost parts of hell for how wicked Pope Boniface is, and you're going to see. There's his tombstone. You see the crown? It's a double crown. put that on because King Philip in France had a crown. And Prince Philip was a nasty, nasty guy. He's the one who in 1307, get these dates, they destroyed the Knights Templar. They had to, because they were rivals. And they were doing things the right way, the original Knights Templar. That's when Philip and Clement, the Pope, after Boniface, they had Jacques de Molay in prison for 7 years. They smashed every bone in his body. They blinded him with hot irons, roasted his testicles in oil. They did everything to that man with their little devices. This is the sort of devices that the Roman cult has used for a long, long time, and they're still using them in a spiritual sense in the courts. And I'm going to show you this. The courts are run by these people. Everything that happens in court is ecclesiastical. Everything. I know a few of you know this, so it's not a surprise, but some of you may not. But what I'm teaching tonight, I only got an inkling of three years ago. But the stuff from these websites, you might want to put these down. These are all linked to my website, universaltruthschool.com. So if you've got a pen, you might want to write this down. I'm leaving this up for a bit. But most of the information that I'm telling you, you can source here. And it's Franco Collins in Sydney runs these. And he's going to, he's basically the information comes from here, so you can source that here. Now, back to Boniface, our little friend. So he put that second crown on his head to do one up on Prince Philip. So they got together, the Vatican and Prince Philip, and they destroyed the Knights Templar. But here, what happened in this year was this guy, Pope Boniface VIII, in 1302 created the first express trust in history. What's a trust? Well, the Crusaders were going off to Jerusalem, leaving their homes, their palaces and their riches behind. So they developed an idea. They would say to their most trusted friend, I want to hand over my estate to you in trust, and I'm off to Jerusalem, I'm fighting for Christ. That's what the Crusades are all about, isn't it? That's another story. Anyway, so when I come back, you're my best friend. You're the best person to give my property to in trust. So he becomes the trustee, the owner of the property. What would happen was some of these knights would come back, and the guy their best friend that they left these treasures with, got used to the treasures and decided that they would keep them. And guess what? The courts would not support the knights, because the trustee had the right to keep the property. That's how the trust started. It worked. They worked for most people, but for some of them, they didn't get their property back. What happened was this guy and the Catholic Church, always desiring to control with their inquisitions, decided that they would create the first express trust in history. All right, that trust is called Unum Sanctum. What does the papal bull say that they created to stick in their vault and put their spell on that has cursed us so much, this Unum Sanctum? It says that all the world and all the souls in it are ours. Remember the right of claim? This is mine. Well, a claim of right. They made a claim of right. They rocked up, sitting on top of the world, look around, seeing all these people sleeping, got all these gold in their vaults and all this power, and they said, we own the world. And so they do, because no one has challenged that. No one has challenged unum sanctum, this papal bull. It's in the vaults. And it's a curse on mankind, and I'll show you how. This was the first express trust in history. So they have claimed the whole world and all the souls therein. And you will see, by virtue of your birth certificate, that that is the title of your soul that they own in their registries. They have registered you. And that is the title to your soul. So what you're going to learn in the second half of this presentation with Serena is how to collapse those trusts, because it's the only way to get out of the system and claim your dominion as children of God, of the universe, and not as their slaves, as people lost at sea, incompetent, because that's how they consider you when you walk into court, an incompetent, dead, with no soul, because they own it. And those black judges who are priests of Baal, they are ecclesiastical. And I'll show you that after we go through a little bit more history. This is painful history, because if anyone of you have done their history and read a lot, like through the Dark Ages, you'll know how much humanity suffered. Do you remember the Huguenots in France, the Lollards in Scotland, the Collegiants, the Socinians, the Anabaptists, the Waldenses? They started around this time and everything. These guys started the Inquisition at that time because people were waking up back then. But they killed that. Then 200 years later, the Renaissance, that came back through the Hermetic wisdom that they were drawing from Egypt via Hermes, the Hermetica, which created all the geniuses that have ever existed, because every genius has read the Hermetica, because that's where the Bible draws all of its inspiration from. Michelangelo, they were weaned on the Hermetica. What happened? Well, we're going to go through a bit of history to show how they came down on that awakening too. That Renaissance was squashed. This one ain't going to get squashed. This one, people are waking up. We shouldn't be angry about the evil that they represent. It's the fact that they are insane. They're insane. The elite families who control the Vatican and who are behind this corporation, and it's the corporation of the Apostle Peter, because Constantine, we can go earlier than this, we can go to 325, Constantine the Great. Supposedly, hundreds of years later, they found Constantine's donation. And that donation was written to his Pope Sylvester, to his... Constantine was, of course, the emperor. The Pope was Sylvester. And apparently Constantine says to Sylvester in this document, St. Peter is the apostle of Jesus that Jesus gave the kingdom of this earth to, therefore we're going to claim taxes based on that, on the donation of Constantine. We're paying taxes because of that fictional document, guys. All taxes to Rome. And the elite families, the insane Khazarian and Venetian black nobility families, just like the Saxe-Coburg Gothers, that the Windsor family, false name. These are the black nobility family. Bankers, bullion brokers. There's a book called Babylon's Bankers. There's a chapter in there called Monotheism, Military, Money, and monotheism. Military, money, monarchies. He has exposed that this gathering, this cabal, they can't work separate from each other. A lot of people, when they see this pyramid of control and they put the Queen on the top, and the Zionists and the Freemasons, don't understand that the Vatican and the Jesuits and the Superior General of the Jesuits actually sit on top, behind the scenes, but they work together. Then they have, that's the crown and the elite insane families of the world who think they have better blood than the rest. And they have their think tanks, Then they have their financial control system, world resource control, world population control, and there's a little sheep down the bottom called debt slaves. We're all indebted, and we all bleed financially because they're taxing your wage. You go to work and you get taxed. Half of it goes to the government. We'll get into that a bit later. Okay, in 1455 we have a testamentary trust created. The first testamentary trust in history. That was Nicholas V, Pope Nicholas V, 1455. This was, bear in mind at the time, it's only like 20 or 30 years before Christopher Columbus sailed off to discover the Americas, right? This trust, this testamentary trust, which conveyed all of this property that the Vatican claimed, the whole world, they conveyed it into this trust. It's a trust that claims all your real estate. You know those titles you have? You don't own it. You own nothing. You do not own a thing. Well, you can't anyway. They're molecules. They belong to the universe, for a start. But the Vatican knows this. They know you can't own things. You can have right of use. That's all that that title means. You will never own it. Never in this system. In this system, I mean, which is about to end. This one is called Romanus Pontifex. Romanus Pontifex. This one is crown. This is where the crown originated. Remember that double crown? That's going to morph into a triple crown because there are three trusts. This is the first one. There's two more to come. See that triple crown? That's called the tiara, the papal tiara, or the triregnum, the three kingdoms. What are those three kingdoms? Well, this is one of them. This is their fictional kingdom that they created. Remember Shrek and the king and his fictional characters? Same deal. Exactly the same deal. There it is in modern times. This pope wore it. The last three popes refused to wear it. And there's Pope Boniface. That's him. That's Udante, confined to the bottommost pits of hell. And he and his successor pope did what they did to the Knights Templar. Very important, because they stole the Knights Templar technology and corrupted it like they do with everything for power and control. In 1481, now get this, 11 years before Columbus set sail, another trust. Now these three trusts, by the way, in the incipit of the trust, which is the introductory words of the trust, the testament, or the bull rather, it's the bull, the papal bull, the incipit says, for a perpetual remembrance. That's trust. All right? Now, this one's called attorney. Attorney A-E, that's an A, excuse my writing. Attorney Regis, the Eternal Crown. This is Pope Sixtus, the fourth. Pope Sixtus the Fourth. And this is the second testamentary deed, trust, deed and will, the second crown of the people, which makes people slaves. This is the Commonwealth. The crown, the Commonwealth was born here. You think these are all English things, don't you? No. The Queen serves the Pope. The Vatican is the most powerful entity on this planet, accepting this. These people, the Knights Templar, or the Temple Bar rather, I forget the year, were granted this. This is in the City of London, the square mile. This land has no title. That is the only land in the Western Hemisphere, or you could say the world, because as you'll see, this system has spread its tentacles all around the planet, but mostly in the court systems, in the Western court systems, which I'm going to show you. So we're going to go to that now in a minute once I get off the history. So when you go to court, you will see it. You'll see it, who they are, those judges and magistrates, who exactly they serve. It's not you. And there's no justice. There is no justice. That's why you wonder when you hear these outrageous things that happen in court. Innocent people who were speeding or something, who had some marijuana and they're in prison. My God, there's some suffering in our prisons. In 1531, convocation. The third trust. This one takes away your real estate. When you register with your birth certificate, that number is the number of these 3 Sestui KV trusts. Learn this word. That's the name of your enslavement. That, in Latin, is 6. 6. 6. 6. There are 3 of them. That's 6 in Latin. That's 6. There are 3 Sestui KVs. Sestui KV, or Setui KV. A lot of people say Setui. That's the Triple Crown. They own and sit on the crown. They are the kings of these trusts, which have taken away your real estate, your personal property, and your soul. This is for baptism, for Catholics. That's why they want baptisms. That's why they go around converting. And that has stolen and deprived us of our real wealth. These are worth about $15 million. If you've got a birth certificate in this country, in the Commonwealth of Australia, which is registered with the Securities Stock Exchange Commission in New York, you are a shareholder. Canon law, which I'm going to talk about soon, was established in this country in 83 because something happened in 1975. The Crown of Aragon, which was in England's hand, which is this crown, they had the crown. See, they were granted this was granted to the Crown of Aragon, Isabel and Ferdinand. Well, General Franco took that when he became king in 1975, went back to Spain. It was originally for Spain, created at that time before Columbus went to America. And when Columbus comes back in 94, he signed the Tesadillos contract with the King of Portugal, with the approval of Alexander, Pope Alexander, back in Rome. So they have the title for all the Americas. And they're just Sestui KV accounts. That's all they are, trusts. Everything is a Sestui KV. Everything goes back to these trusts. Now, what I'm going to show you is when you go to court, it's trust law. They're administering these priests of Baal, of Saturn, who is Satan, and remember, as Virgil said in the Aeneid, we the Latins, everyone knows, are Saturn's people. Latin, L is replaced, you just take the S away from Saturn and you put L there. Same word. Latin is Saturn. It's the same word. L is L. That's another name for Saturn. That's why you can say Latin. But the Latin Church, that's why they speak Latin. This is all Latin. And even they know they're Latin because it's Satan's church. They dress in black. They are the Grim Reapers. They are reaping our souls. The souls belong to them. I saw this the other day on the internet. I thought I'd copy that and show you. There's who they are. The Grim Reaper is black. That's why they wear black. They are ecclesiastical. We'll go through that in a minute. I saw this on the internet. Isn't that appropriate? Remember the Austin Powers? 1 million souls. Yeah. No souls are enough. They love devastating souls, sodomizing souls. How much pedophilia is in this church? How much? It's coming down. It's coming down. The Jesuits, did you hear about this? I'm sidetracking a little bit, but in one of the largest settlements in the Catholic Church's sweeping sex abuse scandal, an order of priests has agreed to pay $166 million to hundreds of Native Americans and Alaska natives who were abused at the order's schools around the US Pacific Northwest. The settlement between more than 450 victims. Imagine if you're one of them. We don't think about it, but yeah, and how many of those people committed suicide? Those ones that are left to fight, if they've got any fight left in them after they've been sodomised and abused by these criminals. And the Oregon province of the Society of Jesuits, anyway, they apologised. The settlement is believed to be the Catholic Church's third largest in the sex abuse cases, behind the Los Angeles Diocese, which agreed to pay $660 million to 508 victims, and the San Diego Diocese, which agreed to pay $198 million to 144 victims. It's just a drop in the ocean for them for all the wealth that they have, but nonetheless, it will bring them down because it's coming in crashing, thundering.
Why do they do that?
Because they're abusers.
But are they taught at priest school to do that? Are they brainwashed to do that?
It is part brainwashing, yes. They've been indoctrinated. They've been indoctrinated and they've been mind controlled. It's all mind control. All of this. It's all mind control. It's all filthy mind control. In that city of London, which I'm going to show you, this is what Franco Collins is talking about. There's Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies, the Middle Temple and the Outer Temple. That's what they've done in the City of London. That's the City of London. There are 3 cities in the world that do not... well, let me put it this way. There's 3 cities in the world that run the show. DC, Washington, it's just a square mile, a couple of square miles. City of London, where the Temple Bar is. The Temple Bar is in there. That is the only piece of land in the world that is over and above the Vatican. Remember that? I showed you that? That's in the City of London. It has to be, because this is the inner temple. It's the same as, this is the New Jerusalem. That's why they sing the song about New Jerusalem, the most popular song in the British Commonwealth, isn't it? Because they created the New Jerusalem. They were given the New Jerusalem. There it is, in the City of London. The Middle Temple, the inner temple, and that's the outer temple, based on that system that the Templars brought back from Jerusalem. It's a system of slavery, because the ones who are in the outer temple, they are the Gentiles, or the Goyim, or the scum of the earth. They're the ones that get taught exoteric religion. For instance, that Jesus Christ is pure history. When they were teaching Jesus Christ 2,000 years, 3,000, 4,000, who knows how many thousand years in India as Krishna. His name was Yes Krishna. And in Egypt as Horus, and he wasn't historical. They made it up. The Romans did that, the Julian family did that, and the historical. They made it up. The Romans did that, the Julian family did that, and the Piso family. This is a guy, Roman Piso, elite. This is one of the elites of the world. This is one of the richest of these families. They invented the whole historical thing. And put it into the Bible so that it would appear to be history, so that they could keep people in the outer temple and then enslave them. This is the New Jerusalem, guys, that has enslaved us. And that's why the judges refuse to have any kind of conscience and any kind of love and any kind of justice in their courts. They know they've got no right to send little boys into the prison. Why do they send them to prison? Because they're getting commissions. They get $160,000 because they create what's called a constructive trust. When you go to court, they make a constructive trust. And you're going in as the beneficiary of the trust, of the Sestwick AV trust, that has stolen all of your wealth, all of it. You have nothing until we collapse the trust, and that's what Serena's going to be doing in the second half. She's going to teach how to collapse these trusts. This is the 666, the mark of the beast, the mark of the fool. Because if you're foolish enough as a parent to say, oh, there's my little boy, he's born, and the government says you've got to register him, and, well, we'll inform, the hospitals get $2,000 fee, spot fee, for registering you. That's why the nurses there are you going to register him? Yes, register. What does register mean? Well, I know what that means. That means king. You're giving over to the king. All capitals is a fiction. It's a corporation. And it's connected to this. This is why a lot of people go to court and don't understand why they lose. They don't understand what's going on, the jargon. Well, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that now. First, I want to show you a couple of pictures. That is 1968. That's the Pope. That's Pope Pius IX. That's an army. This is a picture that the Vatican would not like you to see. Comes out of Tony Bushby's book. He's another Australian who's written a lot about the Vatican, the papal billions. That is 1571, I believe. I don't have the information for that. I forget who was the famous painter. I think that's the Bay of Naples. There's 200 warships there. Do you know who owns those warships? They're on their way to fight against Turkey in 1571, an Inquisition, a crusade. That's the Pope's. Look at those ships. That's only a part of the Navy. That has morphed into the US Navy, the Pentagon. They're still doing it. The Inquisition's on, man. It's George Bush and his buddies. They're going for the Pope. That's a sheriff. That's a New South Wales sheriff. That cross is their ecclesiastical duties. They are officers of the Inquisition. This is an officer of the Inquisition, people. He's telling you. Same cross that these Christians, Christopher Columbus, when he landed on the Caribbeans, they wrote letters back to Spain saying there were 3 million people on this island, there's only 200 left. Because Columbus has gone mad, killing people. He was murdering people left, right and centre. They were having an orgy of killing people that didn't repent and choose Christ. An orgy. And the Inquisition went to the American shores. That's Pope Julius being stoned. This is a famous painting, by the way, being stoned by Matthew, Mark, Luke and John for how evil he was. Pope Julius. Good old Michelangelo gave us a nice little picture of Pope Julius sitting on the toilet seat for how much he loved him. There's a good reason why I'm showing you all these pictures. That's what Michelangelo, that's one of his sketches, Pope Julius, for how evil he was. That is a flyer that was going around in 1501 for the same Pope, saying that he was from the devil and from Satan. Because why? Because they are. Look at them now. See those SS officers and the Vatican? Look at them blessing the killers, training them in mind control. Go, the Sestui KV accounts need to be charged up. We need money. Look at how eager this Orthodox bastard is. He's so eager to bless them. Go. He'll stay at home, eating his bread and cheese and champagne and caviar. Yeah, no worries. Look at that. That's a famous picture. There you go. Pope Pacelli. There's a reason why I want to show you that. I want to share that with you guys. Now, let's get into this. What I'm going to do now is show you how the courts work. It's all ecclesiastical. Okay, and this is very sad, but we need to know this. It's cruel. It's absolutely cruel. The poor young boys that go in to court with a lawyer. The lawyer's working for the Sestui KV accounts. The prosecution is, the clerk is, and the judge is. And you bring a lawyer with you to prove that you're a ward of the state, that you're lost at sea. So you need a Sestui KV account, someone to manage all your wealth. They've stolen it.